Osmi, let's begin with you first. How was Bihar today? Because it appeared netas were everywhere in every state of the country today to protest against the Agnipath scheme. But the fire was seen in Bihar all these days. How was Patna and the state today? Osmi.
You know, Pooja, Bihar has remained the hotspot of this entire agitation with a lot of violence and a lot of damage to public property. But today, on the day of the Bharat Bandh, the impact that was seen in Delhi was absent here in Bihar and specifically in Patna because of the reason that the entire state was converted into a fortress. More than 800 arrests and more than 150 FIRs have been lodged. So far, the administration, after being pulled up, is tightening the noose. Remember, for 3 days continuously on a row, we saw violence, trains being burned, coaches being burned, public property being vandalized. And the last 2 days have been relatively peaceful, especially today. The administration is patting its back for reining in the protesters. And importantly, the investigation is still underway to zero down on the culprits.
Mosmi had also been bringing us, remember, ground updates of also heartbreaking visuals of vandalized, burnt trains and railway stations. But now there's been a crackdown on that. Let's now go across to Bengaluru. My colleague Karthik has been reporting. Now, Karthik, also in Bengaluru, there was the protest, the Bharat Bandh. Was it primarily about Agnipath? Was it also in connection to Rahul Gandhi's ED questioning? Was it successful? Tell us more.
Well, in several districts of Karnataka, including Shivamogga, Chikmagaluru, Belagavi and Vijaypura, there were instances where Congress workers in the morning tried to protest, but the police were successful in detaining them even before they could go and protest. In Shivamogga, there was a rail roco protest that was organized by some of the youth Congress workers, but they were arrested immediately after they took to the streets. And in Belagavi and in Vijaypura district as well, the police and RAF personnel were deployed in the district, and they ensured that no untoward instances happen and no protests break out on the streets. And today, since Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Karnataka, the Karnataka State Police have been on vigil right from the day started, and security has been tightened across the state, and all district administrations have been advised to follow procedures very strictly and to ensure that no one takes to the streets to stage any protests.
Thank you so much, Karthik. He's mentioned an important point. Remember, VVIP visit today of the Prime Minister. So therefore, already there was high alert ensuring there in the state of Karnataka and specifically in Bengaluru. How did Kerala look like today in Thiruvananthapuram, Shibi? There were a call for the Bharat Bandh, but unlike other cities, was there already a crackdown? Were people managing to have a successful Bharat Bandh? Also, this is also the time when people head back. How is Thiruvananthapuram looking today?
Well, Pooja, Thiruvananthapuram did not have a major, did not face a major impact of Bharat Bandh, as everything was running like any other day. The shops were open, even though the DGP of Kerala, Mr. Anil Kant, had given specific instructions that before the Bharat Bandh, but there was no such impact, as everything, especially the public transport, everything ran normally. Though we saw Agnipath's protest taking out today outside Raj Bhavan, the left bodies, the left organizations carried out protests outside Raj Bhavan. It was started by the DYFI, which was inaugurated by the LDF convener EP Jayarajan. They marched towards Raj Bhavan, followed by their student wing, the SFI, marching towards Raj Bhavan. The police had to use water cannons on the students, but they continued to protest. They said that this is something that the scheme questions our dreams. We have been dreaming about this for a long time. A lot of us have completed our medical as well as physical tests, and only exams are remaining. We need exams. That's what they were demanding. But overall, when you see compared to other places, the protest here has been peaceful, as no major violence or no major clash has been reported from the state yet.
Let's go across now to Jammu. Sunilji Bhatt, very interesting how the Aam Aadmi Party was spearheading the protest in Jammu, while let's say the Congress was in Delhi or other cities. How did Jammu look like today? What kind of protests were taking place, and how is the city looking like right now?
Well, Pooja, Bharat Bandh call was given by many student organizations today, but as far as Jammu city is concerned, there was no major impact of the Bharat Bandh here. Traffic was normal on roads, whether it was public transport or private transport. Traffic was flying normally on road, and government offices were open, and the government employees were working in the offices. Private institutions were also functioning normally. So there was no major impact of the Bharat Bandh, but yes, protests were, staged by Aam Aadmi Party activists in the morning, and later the Congress Party activists also hit the streets and they protested against the Agnipath scheme. They demanded that the scheme should be immediately rolled back, and they also slammed senior BJP leader Kailash Vijayvargiya for his remarks
Yes.
on the Agniveer. They said that BJP must issue an apology as far as his statement is concerned. Pooja, back to you.
Thank you so much, Sunil ji, but for all the latest coming in from Jammu and Kashmir. All our reporters on the ground since morning, remember, have been updating us what is unfolding over the Agnipath scheme. And finally, let me now bring in our Delhi correspondent, Shreya Chatterjee. Shreya, Delhi witnessed maximum protests today, spearheaded by the Netas specifically. How are the city streets looking right now? Because Delhi-Noida border, Delhi-Haryana border faced massive traffic snarls today. How do you think the city is looking like right now, and how was Delhi with regard to the protests?
Well, you know, Pooja, the situation in Delhi was somewhere down the line in a crossfire, because there was protesters from the Agnipath scheme who were protesting against the scheme, and then there were protesters for the Congress party who were staging a protest against Rahul Gandhi's ED summons.
Yes.
We saw some of those protesters who were detained on their way to Jantar Mantar, because Delhi police had capped the number of people to 1,000 in Jantar Mantar today. Some were detained in Singhu border. 16 were arrested when they tried to stop a train in Tilak Bridge today. Those were Congress workers as well. Just a quick update about how the situation looks right now. There is a traffic advisory that's been put in by Delhi police between 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Crucial junctions like Tughlaq Road, Claridge's Junction, Maulana Azad Road, Motilal Nehru Marg, Akbar Road and Janpath and Mansingh Road should be avoided, is what Delhi police says. So we do know that the whole system that was put in place, especially looking at Rahul Gandhi's ED summons, continues, is why these crucial junctions continue to be avoided, is what Delhi police is referring to between the time period for 5 p.m. till 9 p.m.
So in Delhi, remember, it was not just the anti-Agnipath scheme protest, but also Rahul Gandhi's questioning, which the Congress party was spearheading as an agitation. I'm now, in fact, joined from Ranchi as well. Satyajit is joining me. Satyajit, Ranchi में किस तरह का प्रदर्शन हुआ आज? How were the protests today? क्या शाम तक वो भारत बंद का कॉल खत्म हो गया है या अभी भी प्रोटेस्ट जारी है?
Look, Pooja, no effect or impact was seen on road. No protesters they were even off the road. They were not seen on the road. So it was not a field day for the protesters. But as a precautionary measure, schools were shut down and commuting was seen a bit slow comparatively than the other normal days. But railway station was seen. There was some effect on the rail commuting. Many passengers were seen stranded, and they were stranded in Ranchi since the last few days. Those who were coming from the south side and they had planned a break journey, and they were scheduled to go somewhere else towards Bihar or UP, were stranded and were facing huge difficulties. And they said they don't know, they don't have the answer when the trains will be resumed and when they will reach their destination. So some effect was seen on the railway traffic, but overall the effect was minimal. Towards the afternoon, when Subodh Kant Sahay issued a controversial statement against PM Modi, it sparked off a fresh row and controversy in the political circle. BJP condemned his statement and lashed out at him. And another remarkable thing which I would like to mention was BJP headquarters at Ranchi was turned into a fort. A massive deployment was in place. RAF with all equipment was seen there guarding the BJP office. Multi-layer
Yes,
security
because
arrangement
they
was
wouldn't
made
want a repeat of
outside
what
the
happened in
BJP
Bihar.
office.
So the neighbouring state of Jharkhand ensuring that the BJP office was ensured that it was guarded. But also what he's telling us is interesting. While our colleagues are telling us about traffic snarls on the road, there was railway passengers who did face inconvenience, but it was not exactly a very successful Bharat Bandh, but the agitations, remember, are on. I want to thank all my colleagues, Shibimol, KG, Mausami Singh, Karthik, and from Ranchi as well, Satyajit, Sunilji Bhatt and Shreya Chatterjee. Thank you, because you've been bringing us since morning and since past few days all the latest updates.